Am I goddamn missing something here? Or am I in a goddamn twilight zone with this NFL draft? So let me get this straight. Let me get this straight. We have Aaron Rodgers on our football team. We were in the NFC Championship game. But yet, in the first round of the 2020 NFL Draft, we draft Jordan Love, quarterback. Traded up 4 slots to get him. We didn't need to. We could have just stayed at 30 and got him. Because I don't think anyone was going to pick him. What the frig are we smoking? Now, I was all on my Instagram about this. I was pissed. I was on Twitter about this. I was living last night about this. Then tonight, they draft a running back in the second round. Now, the running back is a good player, and as well as Jordan Love. But we don't need Jordan Love. We were in the NFC Championship game. We need people around Aaron Rodgers. Okay? So we then take a running back, A.J. Dillon. Okay? 1. We got Jones. We got Williams. So we got 2 running backs already. Why are we taking this dude? Why aren't we taking, I don't know, a defensive tackle, a defensive end, a linebacker, since our goddamn football team got run over by the 49ers? Garoppolo threw, 2 passes the whole game for 20 yards? Because he didn't have to throw the ball. Because we were getting run all over the place because we didn't draft the defensive guy. That's what our biggest need was. We lost Balaga, so we lost another guard, lineman, offensive lineman. You know, we lost that just like Yang, TJ Lang. You know, we lost them, in the past couple of years. So we're losing, people to protect Rodgers. We have one wide receiver that's good. And, oh, by the way, the third round we took a tight end, which I guess that's a little step up from last time. We have no 4th round pick, by the way, as of right now. That's a step up. But Josiah Diggang, or whatever his name, I don't know how to pronounce his name. But there was a guy that was better on the board when they drafted him for tight end, and that was Tauntman, Adam Tauntman. I believe that's how you say his name. Didn't draft him. What the hell? Why didn't we draft him? Why didn't we draft him over him? He was better on the board. Okay, he was better on the board. He was better statistically, okay, from the combine numbers and all the scoutings that had been gone. But yeah, we draft someone different. Like, and before we get into this, because I know some people's like, oh, well, they're grooming him. Brett Favre, look at Favre. They drafted him at the same age. Aaron Rodgers, he was drafted the same age. It's a completely different situation, first and foremost. I want to debunk the living shit out of that bull crap right now. Different scenario, 100%. 1, Brett Favre was established. Number 2, Aaron Rodgers, okay, when Brett Favre was established quarterback, but Aaron Rodgers, when he was drafted, he slid. He was a top 5 prospect. Okay? Aaron Rodgers was a top 5 prospect. literally even that terrible general manager, Ted Thompson, okay, it can't frickin' pick for shit and got lucky with one dude for his whole career that let him frickin' make him look good throughout his whole career, okay? Ted Thompson even said it. He even said it that literally that they weren't going to do anything in the draft to get him, but they would just let him, go where the numbers are. Okay, that's why Aaron Rodgers was taken by the Packers. It literally landed into their laps. That's why they took him. That was not what their direction was. Okay, they just took him because it was a steal to get a caliber top 5 quarterback, okay, that slid all the way to the 24th pick, okay, which would never happen today, by the way, because that was an onerous contracts at the time, and that's why it happened, okay. That's why that happened, okay. Jordan Love, okay, was not projected to be a top 5 quarterback, okay. There were many other better quarterbacks in this draft than he was projected. Okay? So it's not the same situation. Not to mention, they traded 4 slots up. 4 slots to get him. They didn't stay at 30. They went to 26. They didn't need to do that to draft him. No one was going to draft him from 26 to 30 in between those picks. Okay, no one was going to draft that guy. Okay, I don't believe it the way the draft was going. I don't see it happening. Okay, not only did they reach for him, but it made no logical sense. Okay, the Packers were in a decline at the time when the Packers drafted Aaron Rodgers because we were in the playoffs and we lost to the Vikings as a wild card team. Okay, team was more of a rebuilding team with Favre at that point. And it wasn't until 2007 when we got back into the playoffs, as we all know. See, now you guys all know, if you guys all know me, that I prefer Brett Favre over Aaron Rodgers. Okay, Brett Favre to me is the better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers was. Okay. But the thing is here's what stands out, whether you prefer Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre. What stands out to me about this entire situation is not the similarities or the glamoury, of the situation that, he was the same age as Brett Favre was when or when Aaron Rodgers was drafted. To be groomed to replace Brett Favre. Okay, that does not stand out to me at all. You know what stands out to me is they're doing the same shit that the Packers did with Brett Favre during his prime. See, Brett Favre won a Super Bowl in 1996. They went to another Super Bowl in 97. Fortunately lost it. And then a couple of years after that, once the free agent signees and all these other guys started leaving or retiring, what happened is they started to go down. They were still a playoff team most of the time because Favre was that good and he was carrying the team. All right, he was carrying. If you go back to the games like in Favre's middle of his career, after Holmgren left, and then Mike Sherman took over and ultimately took over as general manager. I think it was 2000 to 2004 or 2001. He took over as the general manager during that time period. Mike Sherman was actually a pretty good head coach. The problem was he's a terrible general manager. Not every head coach is a good general manager and a good head coach. There are some that do it. There's some that can do it. But Sherman was not one of those guys, and he was not good at drafting. okay, when he was general manager. And that hurt us. When Ron Wolf retired, and he took over. Ron Wolf being a Hall of Fame, general manager, and giving it to this new head coach that wasn't good as a general manager. And this was during Favre's middle of this career, while they were still going to the playoffs because Favre was a damn good quarterback and he was putting the team on his back. That's the thing. They were never Super Bowl contenders anymore because they were just playoff teams because of the quarterback. And that's what I have now seen the last couple of years when it comes to Aaron Rodgers. In some of these playoff teams, obviously the past couple of years we haven't been in the playoffs until we got back this year in the NFC Championship game. But I'm literally seeing the same shit happening. And I've been seeing it for a while, and to why they're doing this, I don't know. We have a chance to win more Super Bowls. We had a chance to win more Super Bowls a decade ago, now it would be like 15 years ago with Favre, okay? And they ruined that. And I still believe if they had allowed Brett Favre to start in 2007 when he decided to unretire, which if Favre had not retired in the first place, he would have started. I'm still convinced that if that had happened, we would have won the Super Bowl that year. We were loaded. And yes, they had similar stats, but the thing is Aaron Rodgers, first-year starter, it made more sense that the team was going to regress in the record because of that. But if Favre had started that year, I think we would have won, and we were a chance to go to the Super Bowl. After that team had that run, and now we move forward to this thing. We're a team that can win right now with Aaron Rodgers, but we need weapons. We need more linemen to protect Rodgers. We need more defensive guys to stop the run because that shit that happened with the 49ers, you can't allow that. You can't allow running backs to run wild in a passing league. I mean, this is a passing league, and we're allowing like 200, 300 yards of freaking rushing, and the quarterback is not throwing the ball at all. Like that's ridiculous. They essentially pass the ball without actually passing the ball. You know what I mean? This is where we are at, and now we're in a situation where it's like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this to ourselves? Why are we being so stupid with these picks? It makes no logical sense. And I've just seen it. I've been a diehard Packer fan pretty much almost my entire life. I've been a Packers fan since I was like 3 years old, pretty much. And I've pretty much seen it. I've pretty much lived it, breathed it. But in all my years of watching the draft, this is probably the worst draft. I mean, yes, I know there's probably worse drafts than this. Obviously we drafted Tony Mandrix. What was that, 90? Was that 90 or was that 91? That was 91, wasn't it? No, that was 90. That was 90. So I wasn't even alive when that draft happened. That was 90. That was 90, and I wasn't there for that one, thankfully. But I mean, in terms of needs, man, this is probably the worst draft we've done. This is probably the worst draft we've had, in terms of needs, because this is like literally, like we're taking guys that we don't need. I guess they're trying to go in the logic of best available, but these aren't best available guys that we necessarily need. There were much better options at this point. That could be needs that were best available as well, too. You can have that mixture. But, oh my God, I don't even know if I want to watch Day 3. I mean, Day 3 will be on noon tomorrow, but, I mean, geez, I don't even know if I want to watch this crap. I mean, this is just a train wreck. This is just a goddamn train wreck, watching this. The way I'm looking at this, I just don't see where they're going with this one. I Mike or not Mike. What the freak am I saying? Brian Gutenberg, the general manager, has been just terrible with this. It's just terrible. When are we just gonna get a good general manager? We had Ted Thompson, who doesn't sign hardly signs free agents. Okay, and now we got Brian Gutenberg. I still don't know how to say his name. Okay, we have Brian Gutenberg, and I don't know what the hell he's doing. I mean, pretty much most of the fan base agrees with this. Packers are owned by the city, so maybe they can fire him. I'd really hope they could after this draft, because this draft is terrible, and I want to restart and I want to redo and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? But God, I hate this. I hate this. We're doing pretty much the same thing we did towards the middle and end of Brett Favre's career with Aaron Rodgers. And while it paid off for Aaron Rodgers in the end, because Aaron Rodgers ended up going on to being a great quarterback, Hall of Fame quarterback, not every time things can go that way, okay? And I'm not going to say the third time can't happen, but unless Jordan Love ends up somehow, whenever he takes over for Aaron still has 4 years left on his contract, by the way, so I don't know what the hell, unless Aaron Rodgers gets a career neck injury like Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers is keeping that job. But unless Jordan Love is like a Hall of Fame, ends up becoming a Hall of Fame quarterback like Aaron Rodgers did when he took over for Brett Favre, there is no way that anyone is going to recover from this. Like, there's no way the fan base is going to forget this. There's no way. And some people are comparing him to Patrick Mahomes. All right? I think we're getting a little stir crazy with this. Not everyone's going to be Patrick Mahomes, and not every quarterback in this draft is going to be successful. I mean, that's just the darn hard reality of it. Not every quarterback is a home run hit. There's always going to be a bust quarterback in the draft, no matter what. That's just the nature of the beast when it comes to drafting. But this, to me, was just terrible. And again, it's nothing against the players. I think a lot of people are in the... Well, I can't speak for all the people in the Packers fan base, but I can speak for myself. It has nothing to do with the players, because players are obviously talented to get to this point. But in terms of what we need as a football team, okay, Jordan Love isn't it, okay? It wasn't the right pick. And even if it does pan out, I'll still say it wasn't the right pick. Because of what we need right now. We want to win right now. We don't want the future. We want to win right now. Okay? The Patriots. People hate the Patriots, but, Robert Kraft, he wanted to get 6 Super Bowls. And that's why they traded Garoppolo. It had nothing to do with what they wanted for the future. They wanted to win now, and Garoppolo, while he could have probably delivered another Super Bowl to the Patriots eventually, there was no guarantee that he could have done it right then and there. And Robert Kraft wanted it. He wanted to tie with the Steelers and the Steelers are the only ones, right? Yeah, they wanted to tie with the Steelers for 6 Super Bowls, and now they're there. And they'll forever be cemented as that now because of it, regardless of what happens going forward. And this is the thing with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has a chance to win a 2nd Super Bowl, which Brett Favre never got a chance to do. And I feel like Brett Favre never got a chance because of the same stuff and the same business decisions that they're doing right now for Aaron Rodgers. And there's another reason why I say Brett Favre is better than Aaron Rodgers, because Brett Favre, if he had a better talented team around him, Favre would have had multiple Super Bowls, especially if they had managed to somehow get Mike Holmgren to stay. If Ron Wolf had retired, or if Mike Holmgren had stayed on with Green Bay for a couple more years, he would have gotten that general manager position because Ron Wolf retired year or two later. He would have gotten that position. But then he took the Seattle job because Seattle was offering the head coaching job and the general manager's position. If they had kept him, there's no doubt in my mind we would have won more Super Bowls because they would have tried to help build the team better for Brett Favre. Brett Favre had a lot of great wide receivers. Aaron Rodgers had a lot of great wide receivers, and that's another thing. A lot of people say that Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre had great wide receivers, and they absolutely did, but they never had an all-pro wide receiver. And what I mean like that is a transcendent wide receiver, like a Jerry Rice, a Randy Moss, a Chris Carter. Okay, those type of wide receivers. He never had those type of guys. He never had those. He almost had one in '07, but Ted Thompson wouldn't do it, wouldn't go for it with Randy Moss. He never had that type of player for a wide receiver. He had Donald Driver. I actually scratched that. He did have one, but unfortunately he got injured. Sterling Sharp. Sterling Sharp was a transcendent wide receiver. Unfortunately, he got injured. While Brett Favre was on the rise. But point being is he never had that for most of his career as a starter for a wide receiver. And it's the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers had Jennings. He had Driver towards the end of his career. Same with Favre. He had Jordy Nelson. He had obviously he has Adams right now. James Jones, bunch of guys. They're all great wide receivers, but they were not all pro wide receivers. They were not transcendent wide receivers. They weren't like Calvin Johnson or Randy Moss or Chris Carter or Jerry Rice. He didn't have those. Aaron Rodgers hasn't had one, and Brett Favre didn't have one. He almost had one. Well, he did have one for a couple of years in his earlier years as a starter, but of course then Sterling Sharp got injured and had to retire, and that was it. So he never had one of those guys. Okay? And so that's another reason too. If you give him one of those guys, if you had given Favre one of those guys, they would have won more Super Bowls. And that's the problem. That is the problem, and I'm seeing the same thing with Aaron Rodgers and I'm seeing with Brett Favre. That I've seen with Brett Favre for years. So that's what I got to say about this. This draft is an F. Draft grade so far is an F for me, for the Packers. I'm the SS Ultimate Goku. I'm out of here. Peace.